Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. Hope you can all hear me okay. Great, okay. So I want to talk to you about a few things today, primarily the paradigm shift in the cyber landscape. So among rapidly evolving technical advancements, the emergence of AI-enhanced malware is making cyber attacks exponentially more dangerous and harder to identify. In the near future, we will begin to see supercharged AI-powered cyber attacks leveraged at scale. So to protect against offensive AI attacks, organizations are turning to defensive cyber AI, which can identify and neutralize emerging malicious activity no matter when or where it strikes. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is the paradigm shift in the cyber landscape, advancements in offensive AI attack techniques, the Darktrace immune system approach to cybersecurity and defense, autonomous response capabilities, and then also just finish with a couple of real-world examples of emerging threats that were stopped using cyber AI. So in today's threat landscape, malware is becoming increasingly advanced and targeted towards complex digital environments. In the near future, these attacks will leverage AI to supercharge their campaigns, blending into networks and intelligently choosing optimal strategies that can evade detection. So to contend with this, defensive cyber AI and autonomous response is a fundamental part of the AI battleground where machine fights machine and only the best algorithm is going to win. Okay. So just to quickly introduce you to Darktrace, for those of you who might not be familiar with the business, Darktrace was founded in 2013 by machine learning experts and mathematicians from the University of Cambridge. So a British-born company that has grown exponentially in that amount of time. We now have a global presence in over 110 countries. We've got over 3,000 customers around the world and over 1,000 employees. And that is really a factor to the necessity of this technology. It's been amazing to see the company grow over this time, been very widely recognized across the industry as well. But we'll touch on the way in which Darktrace works in a little bit more detail later on. So, as I'm sure you're all very well aware, today's digital age is one of hyper-connectivity. We are about to see a very imminent introduction of 5G, which will enable connections with an average download speed of 1 gigabyte per second, which is up to 100 times faster than 4G. So the increased speed, efficiency, and reliability of 5G will power a surge in IoT, providing the infrastructure that is needed to transfer huge amounts of data across any network. With 5G in place, Gartner has predicted that the number of internet-connected devices will grow from 14.2 billion to 25 billion by 2022. Because of 5G capabilities and download speeds, this new decade could see a cyber arms race where lightning-fast connection speeds actually facilitate the speed of machine speed and automated attacks that land in a victim's network long before they realize that anything is even amiss. Businesses are also migrating to the cloud. So cloud computing and applications offer more efficient, affordable, and scalable solutions to modern digital problems, and they have a hugely significant impact on how network perimeters are continually being redefined. Cloud computing is an influential strategic driver of new global business models. Part of this shift to remote data centers is driven by businesses seeking efficiency gains and corporate innovation centers launching digital transformation projects. Often, a single security team is responsible for securing workloads across multiple applications and environments, from Azure to Dropbox to on-premise data centers. So the lack of visibility and control for security teams often leaves them completely blind to threat vectors in the cloud. Fast-moving, untraceable malware, insider threat, and compromised credentials. So last year alone, there was a 28% rise in threats to the cloud and SaaS applications. What's more, there are already steady changes to attacker motivations. So the industries that are being targeted, we've seen a big change in that too. So traditionally, hackers have focused on stealing data to monetize, make a quick buck here or there. But today, cyber threats have a much more sinister consequences we've seen. So attacks now involve sabotaging and disrupting technology systems that support critical and public infrastructure. As hackers focus their attention on breaching industrial environments, attacks against national infrastructure are poised to reshape the cyber threat landscape across the entire globe. What these important technical innovations indicate is that a huge change is poised to completely reshape the cyber threat landscape. A combination of these factors, 5G, IoT, cloud, and changing attacker motivations, will predict a paradigm shift for both the offensive and defensive use of cyber AI. A new cyber landscape where more powerful threat vectors are absolutely everywhere. So, the most significant technical innovation is the near reality of AI-enhanced malware that has far superior attack mechanism for every single stage of the kill chain, including automated decision-making, improved lateral movement, and more efficient and evasive data exfiltration. In 2020, we will see artificial intelligence-powered attacks, or offensive AI, hit businesses at a scale and speed that has never ever been seen before. Offensive AI malware will infiltrate a target's network and leverage available contextual information to direct the attacks, automatically deciphering where the most valuable data lies. So we are increasingly seeing sophisticated strains of ransomware and data-destructive malware, automated attacks against internet-facing devices that have huge financial and reputational impacts and will combine multiple payloads, botnet ransomware, and coin mining and inworm-like malware that has self-propagating capabilities. For example, we saw the recent example of XBash malware, and that targeted both Linux and Microsoft Windows servers and demonstrates how threat actors are deploying nascent automated decision-making to increase the sophistication and coordination of these attacks. So, in the near future, AI-enhanced malware will be capable of autonomously and intelligently choosing whatever method appears most successful for the target, unpatched digital environment, and that's going to increase the attack speed and efficiency at every single stage of the kill chain. So in light of this snowballing security challenge that will result from the imminent leveraging of offensive AI techniques, a cyber arms race in this decade is inevitable. AI will become the firearms of attackers, but also the only promising defense weaponry that security teams will have at their disposal. AI is disrupting every single industry vertical, and seemingly no aspect of our lives is immune from this new technological revolution. Once we have full-blown AI-powered malware in the wild, we will have entered the era of fully fledged cyber warfare. So let's take a look at some spear phishing attacks, something that I'm sure you are all aware of and have experienced many times, I'm sure. So all businesses, large and small, are going to need to be prepared for more impersonation attacks that hit employee inboxes. Attacks that will very soon be leveraged with AI's enhanced capabilities. So to understand the extent to which AI enhanced spear phishing emails will problematize this threat landscape, we first need to look at what a typical spear phishing attack currently looks like. So this image you can see here is of a pretty ill-informed and fairly obvious phishing attack, something I'm sure you'll all recognize. Though the sender and enterprise are legitimate sounding enough, there are some pretty obvious spelling mistakes, such as incredible. So mistakes such as these are very clearly indicative of a campaign that has been programmed by the attackers who are unable or undisciplined enough to invest time in ensuring correct and therefore believable spelling and grammar. So this example demonstrates how sufficient internal and social media reconnaissance is often dismissed by human attackers because of the necessary labor and time investment that it requires. So if these inconsistencies in style and grammar and landscape do not portray emails as malicious, phishing emails such as these are regularly picked up by the traditional perimeter security. However, now let's take a look at what these kind of attacks will look like with the power of AI behind them. So this email is entirely legitimate seeming, and in this context comes from a believable source. As we've uncovered, in the near future, phishing attacks will become automated and highly sophisticated, and the distinction between malicious and legitimate content will be hardly detectable. AI will be used to significantly reduce the laborious hours of social network research and reconnaissance that today's hackers conduct in order to launch a highly targeted attack. AI will be able to do this in seconds. So impersonation attacks will become increasingly common as AI is used to automate generic, spear phishing emails that expertly imitate the natural language of trusted colleagues and to create deep fake video and audio content that is apparently real but entirely fabricated. Advanced spear phishing emails will also become increasingly successful at improving the speed of exfiltration of sensitive documents and compromised administrative access to target environments. So, in short, AI phishing attacks will become contextualized, customized, and believable, improving campaigns in both scale and stealth. An entirely new approach that acknowledges the complexity of this digital environment is needed if we're going to counter these kinds of sophisticated attack. So this brings me on to Darktrace's approach. So we call this the enterprise immune system, and this approach rejects the hypothesis that tomorrow's attacks can be anticipated by analyzing previously seen threats. So instead, its core technology, the enterprise immune system and the industrial immune system, is inspired by the biological principles of the human immune system. So with humans, our bodies are attacked all the time by viruses and bacteria, and whilst our skin protects us to a certain extent, inevitably viruses will get inside. And the immune system understands what self is. It's continually learning what constitutes normal for an environment and then can identify unusual behaviors and take action against them. So Darktrace's technology works in exactly the same way. It's self-learning and continually evolving and adapting to understand normal activity inside the network. Understanding the unique pattern of life for digital environments, Darktrace can detect and respond to threats before they develop and cause damage. In this way, Darktrace technology expects intrusion and responds routinely, an approach that is entrenched in unsupervised machine learning and mathematics. So fundamentally, Darktrace technology passively ingests all forms of data from across the entire digital estate to understand unique patterns of behavior and baseline activity for every single user and device on the network. This machine learning approach can manage the complexity of millions of devices, and the AI is agnostic between technology types. So, in light of the imminent realities of offensive AI, and as the threat landscape evolves, autonomous response capabilities will be fundamental in protecting sensitive databases and critical industries. Darktrace's autonomous response capabilities are a world first, going beyond automation and learned reactions to actually identify with surgical precision the most appropriate action that will neutralize the specific threat that it's seeing in real time and before any damage has been caused. As cyber attacks will soon be leveraged at machine speed, only machine speed defenses are going to suffice to keep up with these. So with traditional rules-based tools, they sometimes struggle to spot these unknown threats, supercharged attacks that have never been seen before. Cyber AI and autonomous response is now going to be fundamental in detecting these AI-powered attacks in their earliest stage, allowing businesses to continue to embrace digital transformation whilst remaining safeguarded against the increased frequency of sophisticated attacks. With all this in mind, what I want to do now is take a quick look at some of the threats that Darktrace has discovered in the wild that demonstrated advanced attack techniques that go beyond the capabilities of human attackers, or will soon be supercharged with AI. So this example is a pretty interesting one, and one that I'm not sure any security team would have anticipated. But Darktrace was deployed within a company network, and it observed an anomalous behavior from an IoT device. So Darktrace detected that there were large packets of data leaving an office IT network. Outside of this office, there was a Tesla parked, and after investigation, it was found to be connected to the company's wireless network and was seen making regular connections to highly rare external endpoints using an unencrypted communication protocol. So whilst this sort of behavior might be common for some devices communicating with their manufacturer, the unencrypted nature of these connections make the devices extremely vulnerable to third-party attacks. So an attacker intercepting these connections could gain access to sensitive data stored on the network and use the Tesla device as a pivot point to breach the company's network defenses. So in this instance, the Tesla was essentially acting to pivot information out of the corporate network, a hugely vulnerable data transfer movement that is readily susceptible to compromise. if Darktrace hadn't had total network visibility, then this completely novel threat actor would never have been detected. So this story is one that shows how advanced and complex networks and IoT devices have really become. They've expanded beyond all recognition. To identify and respond to these completely novel attacks, cyber AI and autonomous response capabilities are completely necessary alongside the total visibility and contextual knowledge of the digital environment. So, in short, the cyber battleground is becoming more complex and attackers even more ingenious. An attacker or even malicious insider could easily have leveraged the Tesla's ability to connect to the Wi-Fi, and with the AI-enhanced techniques, could have supercharged that capability, meaning that the attack would have become more evasive and even more successful in the exfiltration of sensitive data. Okay, so this is another example of how AI will supercharge attacks and can easily be leveraged in new forms of data-destructive malware. So at 7:05 on a Friday evening, an employee at a large telecommunications firm accessed his personal email from his corporate smartphone and was tricked into downloading a malicious file. So seconds later, the device began connecting to an external server on the Tor network. So in this case, Darktrace discovered that a new and advanced strain of malware had been deployed. The attack was automated, and it spread faster than ordinary ransomware. So 9 seconds after the start of the SMB encryption activities, Darktrace raised a prioritized alert, signifying that the anomaly required immediate investigation. So as the behavior persisted over the next 24 seconds, Darktrace revised its understanding of the deviation, judging it to be an active, fast-moving threat. So whilst the security team at 7 p.m. on a Friday had, quite rightly left the office for the weekend, Darktrace Antigena responded autonomously and in a very surgical manner. So it interrupted all encryption attempts while allowing normal activity to continue uninterrupted. So this attack demonstrates how nascent automation is being leveraged as part of advanced attacker techniques. Digital environments are often bespoke, and because of increasing network complexity, they are especially vulnerable to data-destructive malware. This attack demonstrates how there is an imminent fundamental reorientation within the threat landscape, as campaigns will now leverage more ingenious, custom-made, and powerful forms of malware. We have a ton more of these examples that we can talk about at our stand, which is just outside. So very happy to go through more of those with anyone who might be interested to hear more of those examples. But just wanted to say thank you very much for listening. What I want to finish with is the point that it's already very difficult for traditional defenses to detect low and slow data exfiltration, but it's going to become even harder when malware uses AI to understand digital context and normal connection patterns. What this demonstrates is just how AI will shortly refocus the threat landscape. Defenses now must totally account for attacks that are supercharged with AI. Thank you very much.